Wow, wow, wow. The Supreme Court had a collective fit of clarity in a couple of cases handed down. Yesterday, a unanimous ruling in a religious rights case. The state of Wisconsin, and the state Supreme Court there, greenlighting unequal treatment of Catholic charities under the law in Wisconsin. Those Wisconsin State Supreme Court races turn out to be really important. Justice Sonia Sotomayor writing, yeah, you heard me right. It is fundamental to our constitutional order with the government that the government maintain neutrality between religion and religion. There may be hard calls to make in policing that rule, but this isn't one of them. Sotomayor said that. Wisconsin argued that Catholic Charities has to pay a tax, doesn't qualify for a tax exemption because its day-to-day work doesn't involve religious teachings. But of course, Catholic Charities said it qualifies for the tax exemption that other religious affiliated groups also receive in Wisconsin because it's because the beliefs that provide the foundation of Catholic Charities inform the work that they do on a daily basis. It's not, as Sotomayor said, a tough call. So strike one for religious liberty there in Wisconsin. And again, wow, wow, wow. Ketanji Brown Jackson, yes, KBJ. She doesn't know what a woman is.
No, she can't define that.
But she knows when a woman is being discriminated against. Our case law makes clear that the standard for proving disparate treatment under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act does not vary based on whether or not the plaintiff is a member of a majority group. This is in response to a straight woman in Ohio who filed a reverse discrimination lawsuit against her employer when her gay boss declined to promote her. So straight women of the world unite. But the point here is that there are many jurisdictions where if you were a member of a majority, like white, male, straight, the standard was higher to sue for discrimination. And what the court did here, Ketanji Brown Jackson, no less, is say that Title VII applies equally to all people, whether you are a member of a majority race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or not. Wow. Identitarians take a couple on the chin. Now, the flip side of that, now that we've gotten through some of the good news, a little bit more detail on the FBI's targeting of conservative Catholics under Christopher Wray and President Biden. We find out now, based on a report that's been undertaken, documents that Chuck Grassley has released, that missive that was sent out from the Richmond field office talking about Catholics who attend the Latin Mass and the need to keep an eye on them as a potential source of domestic extremism, that was sent to more than 1,000 individuals in the FBI. On February 2nd, 2023, to be specific. 1,000 individuals in the FBI. So, I mean, this addresses the question of a leadership problem or culture problem writ large. 1,000 people. According to FBI's internal report, no one contacted FBI's Richmond headquarters with concerns, suggestions, or negative feedback related to the product. FBI Richmond, the field office there, only received positive input indicating the importance of further outreach and external dissemination of intelligence to mitigate the threat posed by racially motivated violent extremists. Get done with the Latin Mass. Now let's, go look to attack minorities. That was the concern that the FBI had. 1,000 people at FBI, and no one thought anything about that was untoward. For more on all this and a few other matters, please be joined by Scott McKay, publisher of the Hayride, senior editor at the American Spectator, and author of Racism, Revenge, and Ruin, as well as the novel King of the Jungle. Scott, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, happy Friday.
So good news from the court on those issues that are, related to sort of the identitarianism of the left. Not so good news in
Indeed.
terms of the job that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have to do at FBI.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we knew going in that the FBI was a mess, and the FBI is a mess. And, because of that, I'm a little less, frustrated with Patel and Bongino at this point because, this is really cleaning out the Augean stables over there. And I'm not sure that the FBI is even salvageable. Like, I think that organization is so badly penetrated by woke communists that you might actually have to start over to fix it. And hopefully I'm wrong about that. And hopefully there are enough people in the FBI that just went to ground during the Biden administration so that nobody actually, they figured they would be gone the minute that they would object to something like, hey, let's persecute Catholics who go to Latin Mass, in hopes that there would be, a new administration where they could actually resume being FBI agents instead of the Stasi. But even that is such an indication of a poisonous culture over there that, I just don't know if it's doable to fix the FBI.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, at minimum, I like to hear what they're doing about everybody on that distribution list, at least in terms of, doing some interviews to understand why they didn't think anything about that was problematic. Number one. Number two is we have the other story out this week that the Mueller operation was a cover-up, this whole prohibited access designation that was attached to the Mueller investigations and related evidentiary material so that people wouldn't even know that there was material there to search on the case management system because it was prohibited access. And it now prompts all these questions about whether or not the FBI and DOJ were engaged in withholding exculpatory information. Did they provide all the, did they provide everything that congressional overseers wanted? Why wasn't Nellie Orr, the number 3 at Department of Justice's wife, prosecuted for perjury? That seems to be clear now, and this is all coming forward thanks to the work of Chuck Grassley, but not thanks to the work of the FBI.
Well, and the far-reaching implications of that, are that, what else have you withheld from, defense attorneys and others? I mean, how many cases has the FBI investigated and turned over to DOJ that are now tainted, and the convictions need to be overturned based on the fact that they systematically withhold evidence?
Yeah.
This is certainly it's a problem with the Trump-Russia debacle, but what else are they doing? And so this is one of these things where you're actually knocking a pillar out of our judicial system when you do things like this, because when it comes to light, all of a sudden now everybody who has a case that the Justice Department has prosecuted wants to know whether they had exculpatory evidence withheld from their defense counsel.
Wow.
And you don't have a good answer for that. So
maybe
it's a problem.
We don't know. Yeah, right.
Well, do you think Dan Bongino has some egg on his face? I mean, on his show constantly, Epstein he didn't commit suicide, he was murdered. And then he comes out and says, no, he committed suicide.
Well,
or is
I'm
this a
two minds
maturation process?
I think there's two possibilities. One is that this is a legit thing. There's a video and you can look at it and you're like, well, it looks like he's killing himself on this video, which is what I gather they have. So, I mean, if we were all wrong that the guy actually did kill himself, then we should accept that. The second thing is, if that's not actually the case, because we just talked about how, the shape the FBI is in, this might be one where, like they just, you don't have the evidence to prove that somebody went in there and killed him. And whoever had the stroke to get somebody in there to kill Jeffrey Epstein almost certainly has the stroke to bury the evidence that they did that. And so, like, this might be a fight that Patel and Bongino just, like, they're looking at this saying, if we pursue this, they're going to destroy any and all credibility that we have, and we just need to take the L on this so that we can move on and try to fix the FBI. I don't like either one of those two possibilities. One, because I feel like a dupe if the guy actually did kill himself. Mm-hmm. And then the second one for obvious reasons. But, like, either way, based on everything else we're finding out about the FBI, I think it might have been a little much to ask that we were going to get a full, transparent release of everything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, having said that, I found it really, really interesting amid this, peeing match between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Musk, like, dropped the big bomb and said Trump is in the Epstein files, which is known, right? Like, when all this stuff came out in February, it's known that Trump and Epstein back in the day would kind of share their planes going back and forth from New York to Palm Beach,
right?
Which is why Trump is in the Epstein files.
Right.
There's no, Trump went to the island, right?
No, he never went to.
No, but that post on X is supposed to lead one to believe that. I mean, that's the implication, of course.
Well, maybe, but, like, the whole thing is like, we already knew that Trump was in the Epstein files, like, per se, right?
Yeah, but we already.
I'm of the mind that all of this is kind of a ruse.
Yeah,
okay?
so am I.
Immediately after Elon does this, the Democrat Party puts out an ex post saying, "Release the Epstein files."
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh,
I tweeted right after that. I'm like, hey, we want to get a bipartisan consensus to release the Epstein files. How do we go about doing that? Well, you just saw. And so, it might very well be that this thing actually spits out the benefit of all these people, demanding the Epstein files get let out. And now, the deep state can't stand in the way, and we get a release of this.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but
it'll be no, not those Epstein files, and then
right.
and whoever that was that said no, release the Epstein files. I'm sure they got calls from some other colleagues on their side to say, "What the hell are you doing?"
Exactly, you're scaring the fish away.
All right, so do you think this couple's going to get back together? These madmen, the richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world.
Like I said, I think all of this is a ruse somehow to shake loose votes for both the big, beautiful bill and the rescissions. I can't prove that yet, but there were certain things Elon said that kind of come off to me like this whole thing is, like it's the heel turn in wrestling parlance, right? Where you put on this big fake fight, and then the wayward guy comes back into the ring during the match, and he breaks a chair over the bad guy who thought he was with him, and all this. Like, this stuff it's kind of obvious to me. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but and I don't know exactly what the game is, but both of these guys are hotheads, but they're also pretty good calculators. And on the surface, this just doesn't quite look like it's real.
Yeah, I mean that it can be both things, right? They can both. This could be a little ego business between the two of them, but it also can be, a bit contrived as well. Because at the end of the day, their interests are still generally aligned. So even if there's a little bit of chafing over who's gotten credit for this or who took sides in which argument, their interests are still aligned, and that's the most important thing.
Well, and remember this. So Tesla sells cars, right? But in 3 or 4 years, Tesla's going to sell robots.
Right.
That's what Tesla is building. And so, by 2028, their first domestic robots might be coming off the assembly line. And at that point, they kind of don't care about cars, But in the meantime, the people that buy Teslas are Democrats, and they hate Elon, and they don't want to buy Teslas. So this would have the effect of making the Democrats want to buy Teslas again for the next 3 years.
Yeah. There's all sorts of reasons that Elon would want some perception of separation and sort of reestablishment of independence from the administration. It's not limited. It includes, but I don't think it's limited to Tesla either. It includes the Chinese Communist Party, for that matter, at least for the time being. Scott McKay, publisher of the Hayride, senior editor of the American Spectator, author of Racism, Revenge, and Ruin, as well as the novel King of the Jungle. Scott, thanks as always.
See you guys. Have a nice weekend.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A